Welcome back to Let's Talk Race and Modern. I'm your host, Harrison Paul, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is interracial relationships. I like to think of myself as a social scientist. I like to think of myself as likes to study the minds of people and the psychology of people, and get to the bottom of why we do things. That's definitely what happened, and getting to the bottom of why black people do certain things has definitely been one of my passions in understanding the root cause of a lot of our behaviors that we would just think are preferences. Today, this came on my table today, and I was screaming because this guy literally killed it. This guy literally said it all. Stuff that I've been thinking for so long, I didn't know how I was going to articulate it, and dude just sitting on the couch put it as plain and simple as that. And I finally get the chance to break this down for you guys. So let's get straight into it.
If you're a minority and you want to date white women, you just kind of have to accept that you can't have certain types of them. There's only a couple types of white that will date a minority. I think that some are off the table, like Taylor Swift white, off the table. It's hard to get a Starbucks white as a minority, but ironically enough, it's very easy to get like a Starbucks barista white. You can't go peak white. You can go off white. You know what I'm saying? You can get like one that has a tattoo of a deer. Has a tattoo of her spirit animal somewhere. But you can't get yoga class white. That's off of the table. Anything that could be a Fox News anchor, off the table. You don't get none of that. Anything like if her dad owns a pontoon boat, you can't have that one. But you can get the one that likes to smoke cigarettes at dive bars. Maybe you can get that one. That's cool. You can get you can get thrift shop white, and that's fine. Honestly, that's where you'd rather be at.
I actually want to first say we don't see these things as a form. That's a huge form of intelligence. Intelligence being articulated in a very casual way. It's so intelligent how he was able to perceive this pattern that a lot of people just think that's just the way it is, or they've never stopped to think about things like this. And I just looking at him there, I was thinking, this is intelligent. This is why I don't like intelligence being off the basis of, whatever pyramid whiteness is, and whoever speaks a certain way, whoever speaks English in a certain type of way, because you can sit with an African uncle who has a very casual way of speaking, who can break down life and understanding and how he perceives things in such an intelligent way that, like, oh, I never saw that thing like that. So I just wanted to put that as a footnote in there. But listen, I actually want to scream because I got so much that I want to say here today. I don't even know where to start. As a black man, I had to come to an understanding that I had to ask myself as a black man, what type of a man am I? What kind of a man am I leading? What kind of a life am I leading if I am following this patriarchy of life, of beauty that the white man and the European man and Eurocentric beauty standards have set? What kind of life am I leading? Like, I had to look myself in the mirror and ask myself these questions. It's like, brothers, just like he said, you have the women who probably listen to some Chris Brown. You can tell they got a black friend. You trying to see how they are. And you always knew there were those women that were off the market. You always knew there were women that, and this is just, I don't want to even put him on a pedestal. Unfortunately, the way the world system was built, he was the main man in power when the world systems were built. The same way IMF was built. And when IMF was built in the world trade, the black man wasn't in the room when they were designing this thing. He was not important. So now these things do not work in his favor. All you have now is people trying to push this man, the white man, to do things a little bit differently now that he has to consider that, oh yeah, guess what? A black man is now a human. And I don't talk about, the fact that you have a white friend who will invite you to the pub. There are more serious things here that have a real effect on people's view on themselves, and even, like I said, IMF, the wealth of Africa. And I'm also going to do another video today regarding Congo, so you should click the next video after this one. But you knew there were women that were like off balance. Because in the ladder, they were just in this bracket that as a black man, you probably know that she probably afraid of black dudes. She probably not even been around black dudes much often. She probably not even trying to be racist. She just generally get nervous around black dudes. She gets scared around black dudes. Her bracket of life has never brought her to a place where she even, that's why a lot of people like who, a lot of people who do, how do I say, like people who work in like politicians like the Boris Johnson, or I like to use Boris Johnson because he's a certain type of posh that even the fact that he's a messy guy, you see how he dresses every night, he's just so posh that even as messy as he is, he's just posh. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have to try to be posh. He just is. People like him are so far removed from understanding the plight of a black person. That's why a lot of them don't believe that they're racist. Because you've not even put yourself in the midst of a lifestyle around black people often enough to know, are there things inside of me that about black people that irk me? So it's so far removed from you that you haven't even got to unpack anything that may be there. Because your life is someplace here, and your life is way over there, and theirs is way over there. The children of those types of people, we always knew, if you ever went to school with one, they were in a bracket that you just knew that wasn't for you. Just like this boy said, you just knew. And I had to ask myself, how sad is it that I'm trying to figure out, okay, does she wear Jordans? What type of fashion? Oh, I know when she likes that type of fashion, she might be into that. I know the ones who wear that might be into. I know the ones who listen to that might. I know the ones who maybe she like Chris Brown or she like SZA, or maybe I get that one. If I play my cards right. I just thought I had to seal myself as a man and say, how sad is it that I am like your work, like benefits, seeing what you're entitled to. Okay, maybe that one will be more. What about your page? What about your hierarchy? Meanwhile, your women are discarded in the sense of beauty. Their hair is considered unbeautiful. Our women are wearing wigs 90% of the time. We can go and check the statistics for black women. We don't even need statistics to know how attached black women are. Why? That's got to do with Eurocentric beauty standards. And you're following his patriarchy without going inside in your own hierarchy of beauty. That's completely opposite and contrasted to his. That is not a man, that is beta male behavior. A real man looks after his people and his clan. A real leader identifies this, thinks deeply, and says, this cannot be. You overlooking your sisters with the rounder noses and the darker features. And you just trying to chase his patriarchy of beauty. Now, here's a big point. For those people who are trying to bag those certain type of women, you knew that I have to behave a certain way that's not overly African. Or my African sides of me that are maybe, we know what African mannerisms is. There's people hate things, oh, we shouldn't box being black into one. No, but I believe what I love is you can trace an African by the DNA. I can see an African brother and know you African. By his mannerisms. Bring me that black boy in his most comfortable state, when he knows there's no white people around, and I can tell you that's an African. That's the way life works. I don't care if you try to say it's not. God made it that way. The African people are a distinct people. That's a fact. They come in different shapes or forms, but the African people are a distinct type of people. And you can see that bloodline a lot of the times. Despite it coming from Chicago, despite it coming from anywhere, Europe, bring me that Negro in his most comfortable state, I will tell you he's traced back to Africa. And I mean that with Jamaica also, or Haiti, those two, adding that all together. So you are trying to climb up, and most times you will, in order to impress this girl, not to scare her off or to come across as a way, you are abandoning that side. The same thing we do for jobs, everything. Is this really what you call self-worth and confidence? What I love about when I changed my perspective and in my brain, I made black women on top. This is before I met my wife to be. Before I made black women, before I found her, when I decided I'm making black women on the top of my hierarchy in my mind, there was so much relief that came and new revelation that came where like every African thing about me, my round nose, my big lips, my big features, my Africanness, is something she well knows and understands and appreciates, and actually will feel more at home. And when I bring her to my family, the aspects of that, she'll feel more at home. I don't have to try and, commercialize it. So we're rejecting our women. And more times, you ever see, I always said this, those Irish girls, like the Posh ones, the Taylor Swift, the ones up there, even upper middle class, the ones who you knew, obviously would never date a black person. They'll go for this dude, white dude, like we feel had no charisma. How did he get her? Because that's her own people. She feels at home. That's her patriarchy. He doesn't have to have much, but his mere existence sits him at a different place in that patriarchy. You trying to bounce walk, brother, you trying to have a thing about you, he didn't have to do all that. That awkwardness put him on the top of the list. Just his mere existence. But if you are focused on your hierarchy, the things about you that you're trying to muzzle, on a sister's list would sit on the top of the list. Why? Because that's a brother. And I recognize that. But we are not checking out of his patriarchy and creating our own hierarchy. We're just chasing his. That's why I keep repeating, what would a world look like where the nappy girls in our community were competing for the nappier the head were. Not the better wig, the better the wig was laid. I mean the more African you look, the more rural you look, the more beautiful you are. Because the epitome of blackness is beauty. This is what I'm do this page for. Because when we grasp this as a community, and I'm going to talk about it in the next video, Africa will be free worldwide. This is why the Chinese are people who are forced to be reckoned with, united in the world. Because they may come to America, they may come to Ireland, but they, embedded in them, have their own hierarchy that matters more to them. Their way of doing things. That's why a Chinese man will open a Chinese shop and he's will move to a country he's trying to find his own import and export, all the Chinese men he can do business with, and they'll hire all his Chinese women, that restaurant, because he loves himself. A girl messaged me today when I posted this, because I did a video, and a girl messaged me today, and I wanna read out this message. It broke my heart, actually. It broke my heart, because I posted this on my story, and I even gave a little video, and I was gonna just do a story video. I was not gonna do an Instagram video, but I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can see it. And this is what she said. I seriously wish more black men were like you. I recently went on a night out and met an Igbo man from the UK. Igbo is Nigerian, by the way, a tribe in Nigeria. We did our tribal greeting and chatting. Oh, I love this. In our mother tongue, she felt at home. Just for him to turn to my friend and say that she was his type. White woman. You can imagine how I felt when she brought him to our house and kept flirting and kissing him. Me, I enjoyed my pizza and movie in the background. This is my life in Ireland, but we move. I've always been team natural. I get overlooked a lot from black guys. It's just bizarre. But I know when I'm chosen, he will be a real man. So I want to touch on that point quickly where she said, I get overlooked by black men when I have my natural hair. And I want to put this sister again, Texture Talk. She's doing great work. I want to shout out her again, doing great work. Let me play this video for you guys to see, because I think it's amazing. Check this out.
This one's for the ladies out there that are on dating apps or have been on dating apps. Do you think that you wearing your natural hair in your profile will mean that you will get less swipes? Me personally, I'm not on any single dating app anymore. I've deleted every single one because it was just like the real life Sodom and Gomorrah over there, and I just don't have the strength. However, my good friend Erica is, and she tagged me in this video, and I want to get your opinions on this. I think it's fascinating.
I put myself on dating apps. First time ever. I felt it necessary that the potential person that I would be going on a date with needs to know my hair is natural and that I won't be having hair extensions that are straight and flowing down my back that come in the form of wigs or weaves. Now I'm wondering how many men swiped because that was not something that they desired.
If I'm being completely honest with myself, I think here in England, it definitely could have an impact on the amount of matches that you get on these apps, 100%. I would really love to be able to find out what the differing experiences are for black women with natural hair who are on these dating apps, depending on where they live. Because it's really just down to what the standard of beauty is in whatever location that you are from, right? The problem is, because of the issues we have in our own community when it comes to loving our natural hair and seeing it as beautiful, I don't even know whether I would get more matches if I was on a dating app and swiping in Jamaica or Africa. I don't have confidence that I would get more matches. And it's actually really sad. Comment below with your experiences. Black ladies, women of colour on these apps. Make sure you highlight where you're from. That's key here. It's key to the research. Talk to me about the hairstyles that you wear on these profiles and whether or not you think the hairstyle that you put on your profile will impact the amount of people you match with or the amount of people that you think probably don't swipe for you. Let's talk about it.
You know, thank you for that. I have this mixed race friend of mine who we just kind of got friends and we do a lot of talking and I believe I'm actually teaching this guy to have a little bit more empathy. He was raised probably by his white mother and fails to have a lot of empathy for black women and kind of like, oh, that's man. I think he commented on one of my things regarding about, you know, natural hair and all this, everything's just preferences. He wants to say just, you know, the fact that not much people are into black women is preferences. And this is what frustrates me about anybody who's on the right, who thinks that we're crying about certain things. I do this to pages because I just want to moan and want to cry. The damage, if you actually sat with black women, if you cared enough to sit with black women and want to know their experiences. I wasn't going to do a video on this today. It was solely that black woman who came into my story today that made me just say, oh, just like, because I know the culture. I'm a man. I've been around men. I know how we talk. I know what the hierarchy, the patriarchy was. I know who came at the top. I know who it is. What kind of a man am I if I'm understanding how that works? There's certain dudes who don't got more charisma than me, but because they're white, they may get that higher position than me. And this didn't come out of bitterness. It came out of self-respect. And when I see a lot of black men who are in that rat race, I actually lose respect. That's why I don't really have much respect for a man who has not opened his eyes to this and said, I am going to dedicate my life as a leader in my community to fix this problem and lift up our women and make it known that we can have our own system. And in our system, guess what? The one who was at the bottom of the barrel in his patriarchy, in our system, it is top. And I'm so passionate about my new revelation and understanding the parts of me that I would try to muzzle, or the parts of a woman that I was not really, or part of Africanness that would make me cringe at times. I love indulging in that with my African woman in a rebellious sense. And I'm loving it. And we know a lot of our men operate in this. You've got to have some sort of self-respect and self-determination. I could sit here all day and talk about this all day, but I'm just going to try and sign it off here because, guys, I'll leave it for another day, but literally, please comment below. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, thanks for watching.
And I'm on a mission for you.